Hey, this is Pastor Curry, pastor of the Zion Fair Baptist Church, Wilmington's most exciting church, the church that love ya and ain't a thing you can do about it. Today with Coffee with Curry, we're going to continue that trend of some successful brothers who are doing some positive things in our community, not just starting, but have been doing it for now a great deal of time. Today, I'm honored to have Brother Eugene Young with me today, who's running for United States Congress. And this is going to be an outstanding interview. I believe we're going to get a chance to tap into who he is and some of the things that he may bring to the position. So why don't you call somebody real quickly? Tell them Coffee with Curry is on, and let's get after it.
Good morning, Delaware and surrounding areas. You are now tuned in to this week's Coffee with Curry. Join us every Sunday at 11 a.m. with new guests every week. So grab your cup of coffee and join us on Coffee with Curry.
And we're back. Well, as I promised, it is a joy, it's a privilege to have you, Brother Eugene, with us today. You've done so much in your short time of living, and even I'm just grateful that you're here today. Welcome to the Coffee with Coffee.
I am thankful to be here. I'm thankful to the Zion Fair family. Thankful. It's just, as I said to you earlier, this space is amazing. The people here made the setup. This is like high level. So I'm just honored for the opportunity.
Well, coming from you, I take it as a privilege and an honor because you do operate in excellence.
Me too.
You know, Brother Eugene, when you ran just a few years ago for mayor,
yes,
you were unknown name. Mm-hmm. I heard about you, but who is this person jumping in? But you almost got that election without there being a name recognition. You also really won the hearts of people. I mean, I was just dumbfounded where you literally was at that place. I want to say thank you on behalf of the citizens of Wilmington who really believed in you and who still believe in you. And you've done some amazing work at the Urban League. You're doing some amazing work with the housing department. So I just want to say, as a young brother, as a more seasoned brother to a young brother, congratulations on excellence.
Thank you. That means the absolute world to me. I think, my family, when you say just Wilmington people and connection and ties and people being supportive, and my service is very much tied into who I am. My family has been in Wilmington. My great-grandmother, great-grandfather moved to Wilmington in 1919.
Oh, wow.
Lived on the corner of 12th and Orange. That's where they first started out. He was 24, she was 19 at the time. And then they moved over 11th Street Bridge. And I'm an East Side kid. I owe a lot to the city. And in owing a lot, you have to provide exceptional quality of service.
Right.
And so that's what's been my life, my working career, at least over the last 20 years. And I look forward to carrying that as time moves forward. But with the Urban League, we've been able to do some great work there, connecting with community, creating programs to actually give people leadership skills, help them to become stronger, better leaders, because I think that's a major part of our community, what we need in our community today. Yes, we groom them through high school, we groom them through elementary, middle school, and into college. But after college, your learning isn't done. And it's about how do we groom people to be the leaders, what is next for our community as a whole that can carry that torch and providing quality of service to the people of our state.
Wow. And I sit here and I'm very grateful because to sit here to see that you're shaking, you're moving, you're making things happen in the spirit of excellence at a very young age. I think that's important. That's a motivation for those young persons who may be out there saying, you know what, I can still do it. Before we get too far into some of the wonderful things that you've done, I really want to dig a little bit more into the family life because people see you polished. You did go to the university. Let's talk about the trajectory. You talked about 1919, which is also the founding of this church in 1919. Your grandfather came here. Let's talk a little bit about mom, dad. Let's talk a little bit about your wife, your children, just so they can get a feel for you.
Absolutely. So I'm the product of Diane Young, who It's my maternal side that moved here. Initially, my father, Eugene Young Sr., was originally born and raised in Chester, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So I have big family from Chester, Philadelphia area, but they've moved out into different areas. What's interesting is the trajectory of my parents. Come from working class, humble beginnings. My mother was a teacher. My mother, I believe, was the first woman in our family to go to college.
Okay.
And so my mother went to Delaware State, ended up coming back home into Wilmington, taught in Red Clay School District for 30 years.
Excellent.
My father, what's interesting is my grandmother, my father's mother, passed away when my dad was only 4 years old. And so my father didn't have as much a relationship with his father, but his aunt took my father in. So my father lived with my great aunt until he was 18 years old. And once, it's oftentimes said that, the elder would say, like, look, you got until you're 18. Then once you turn 18, you got to go. I love you, but you got to go. Okay. And so my father ended up doing some work here and there, but then he ended up going into the Air Force, and this is what changed his life. So he went in the Air Force, came back, became a machinist at Boeing, and was in the Air Force Reserves and at Boeing. So they raised me and my sister over on the East Side, and it was a beautiful neighborhood. It really shaped in like the core of me and who I am, and allowed me to go out and do a lot of great work. Now I have my own family. I'm married up, as all of us smart men, I like to say we do. My wife I met my wife in college. I went to University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Okay. My wife went to Towson State University. And
so you half HBCU.
Yeah, I'm half.
Your mom and your wife.
Yeah, indeed. So my wife and I have known each other for years. We ended up getting married in 2014. And we have 2 children, 8 and 5, my daughter Madison and my son Mason. Okay. My wife is actually a college professor. Whoa. So my wife went from Towson to Fairleigh Dickinson University in Northern Jersey, and then went to UConn to get her PhD. Okay. And so she's. Oh, you
married up.
I did. I'm not by no. I'm not. I am being very clear. Yeah. And so she's a professor at Franklin Marshall College, in their business school, focused on issues around workforce development, organizational structure, hiring. How do you hire people that may have a background that may be just as involved, or re-entering back into society, how to properly hire, how to properly engage, things of that nature. So I'm incredibly thankful. Yeah. One thing as I recognize as we age is that we recognize how precious life is. And with that recognition, it makes you have such a greater appreciation for my son, my daughter, my wife, my family, extended family, recognizing that life is precious. So you take every moment as it is precious for the people that you care so much about.
Yeah, and that helps us. That helps people like myself who have watched you from a distance. Yeah. I never will forget that that Tuesday afternoon we were decorating the church, and you stopped by the church because you had heard about the project that we were interested in doing. And just to say, whatever you could do to support, absolutely, you would be there. I thought the world of that. I mean, because it wasn't nothing political with you. It was look, if I could help, let me be a blessing.
It is funny. My aunt, my mom's baby sister, Michelle Harley, my aunt Shelley, said, you need to speak to Reverend Curry. I think he's got some good stuff going on. And she had this conversation with me. And that same day, when your aunt says something and she sprouts a little bit in you, I said, well, let me follow up. Let me see what we can do. And it was a great conversation.
Especially
so
that aunt.
Especially that aunt. Especially all my aunts. So she just gave me the idea, and I said, I'm going to check into this like now. And I came over.
And I'm grateful that you did, because in low moments, you never know where a person is.
Yeah.
And in low moments when trying to get things off the ground and things of that nature, for a person of your status and stature to show up unexpectedly, it helped us as a people. So what you have constantly done, the trajectory of your life has been to offer you, because that's what you come from. Absolutely. You come from a family that always offered, and I wanted the community to hear that and see that, because while we're out campaigning and people are knocking on doors, people have stump speeches.
Absolutely.
But to know the individual, as I look at the Coffee with Curry show, I want to make sure they know you.
Absolutely.
You know, you're married successfully. And I'm going to agree with you. I did too. I married up as well.
Absolutely. We're smart for doing it.
But you know, you sparked something where I may even want to do an interview with her, because it's just amazing to hear the great stuff that's happening here in Wilmington.
Absolutely.
You know, people just discount who we have and what we have here, and as a people. And some young brother is saying, you know what, I still have time. I can still make things happen. Absolutely. And I think that's so critical.
Absolutely.
You know, now what high school did you go to?
So I grew up on the east side. I actually went to St. Mark's High School.
Okay.
I went to St. Mark's, played basketball there.
So your height has some issue here. Okay, so you played basketball. I was waiting for that.
Yeah, I played basketball. So I you know, and it's interesting. You know, St. Mark's was such a wonderful opportunity to learn about hard work. I had amazing coaches there. It was a great opportunity to connect with a variety of people, because it's outside. It's all the way out Kirkwood Highway. So you meet a whole new different group of people at St. Mark's, and it was good for me. I have lifelong friends from there, but it taught me a lot. But it was interesting, you know, I would catch the bus from off of 5th and Lombard, and most of my friends would be going to different schools, Glasgow, Christiana, and they would see me standing there with my jacket. I remember my friend first day of school on her bus stop saying, "Where are you going to work?" And I was like, "No, this is what we got to wear to school." But it was such an amazing experience. I'm incredibly thankful for it.
And how was your basketball career?
It was good. So I was a late bloomer. In many cases. So when I was in 9th grade, I was 6 foot. And when I left high school, I was around 6'7". The height I am now, 6'7", 6'8".
Okay.
And so I was, you know, they call us like these late bloomers, because, you know, your mind will say like, hey, feet, you need to start moving, but it takes a little bit more time to get down to your feet and start going. But I was pretty good in high school. Ended up getting a college scholarship to play basketball at Division I level, and I'm thankful for that. And I was able to go to UMBC, and I double majored in information systems, sociology, and came back home and linked up with like a brother of mine, Logan Herring, and his older brother. And we created a nonprofit organization for children using basketball as kind of like the catalyst to get people involved. And how do we work on a lot of young people, provide them the supports they need, things of that nature. Our thing was, well, we didn't know too much of what to do other than basketball. So we said, we're going to coach them like people coached us and change our lives. And we did that, and we were able to work with a lot of young people in their school, with their households, things of that nature. And it showed like what's going on within our community, and also how you got to provide that exceptional service as you move forward if you really want to impact change.
Yeah, and you're kind of answering all of my questions, because it's like you giving back what was given to you.
Absolutely.
Your life didn't end with just the things that mom and dad poured in you, which they did a phenomenal job with pouring into you, but you had a community who helped build you as well.
Absolutely.
And your goal has been thus far to make sure you're giving back to that same community.
Absolutely. This, you know, my mother would always say, they would have, you know, parents always have these lines that stick with you to the day. Like my mother always says, you know, no man's an island, right? My father, with his background of, you know, he had not a rough childhood, but he had to figure things out at an early age. And he always say this line, don't nobody owe you nothing.
Yes.
And so it's a sense of, I take it the reverse aspect of what my father was trying to say is, express gratitude and thankfulness when someone does do something for you, because they don't have to.
That's right.
And so for me, I recognize that people didn't have to do many different things for me. They could have not just said, I'm not gonna mentor this guy, I'm not gonna help this guy out. And they could have easily gone about their day, but they did.
Right.
And so with receiving, it's important to recognize that I need to now give. And so that is who I am.
Okay.
And that is the essence of me, is how can I give back and be of service to a city, to a state, to a community that's given me so very much.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a question at you off the record. No, on the record. It's on the record. But the question is, of all the many wonderful days of your life, give me one that you will ever treasure.
Whoa! Oh man, that's a great question. I will always. Can I give like two or three?
Go ahead.
Quick ones.
Yeah.
One is the day I met my wife.
Oh.
The day I met my wife in college, I didn't. Who would have known that I meet this girl when I was 17 years old, and 17? I met her when I was 17, and we date off and on, and so on and so forth. And she would end up being my wife, and we would raise a family together. The other day that just really meant so much to me, obviously my children being born. Also, like, it's little moments in my life. I was expressing to someone, one of the greatest days I'll never forget. My father passed away in 2018, but I have these memories of my father. And one of the biggest memories that I have in my heart is, I remember my dad was an Air Force guy. And when I was going through high school, I started getting recruited by different colleges and universities. And probably one of the most proudest moments I can ever remember my dad like looking at me was when I was recruited to West Point, the military academy. And so West Point recruited me, and going up there with my dad on a college tour of West Point I've never seen him happier, because it was kind of like a little bit of astonishment, like, they actually want my son? And a little bit of like, you can actually do this kind of, and it was, my father, I remember my father saying, from coming from humble beginnings in Chester, to be able to have my son have an opportunity to go to West Point or, go to college, period, on scholarship, was a beautiful thing. And I remember when I graduated, the day I graduated, I've never seen my father cry, but that was the closest I've seen him tear up, was during that. So it's like these little moments that I certainly will always take with me.
Yeah, and the reason why I always throw a question in there is because you just gave the people who you are.
Yeah.
You're a family person.
Absolutely.
And when a person, even those who may not be blood people, when they come into that community,
absolutely,
your goal is to either help it or strengthen it.
Absolutely.
Whichever way you can. And I think that's wonderful, Eugene. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, Eugene did some phenomenal things. You don't mind me calling you Eugene, do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's done some phenomenal things with the Urban League. He has started talking about it earlier. And he also is doing some amazing things with the housing. And we want to build this case for why it's imperative that we send him to a place that is polluted. Sometimes we think, why would a person even want to be a part of Congress? If everyone continues to have what's there, stay there, we will fall apart as a nation. We need some powerful and impactful people. So when we come back, I just want to talk to him a little bit about what he's done, and then we're going to start leading us to what he will do. We'll be right back.
Join us at 9 a.m. on Facebook Live every Sunday by typing E-Zion Fair Baptist Church.
Jesus felt what you're feeling, but he did not sin. Am I in the word? Have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin.
We are Wilmington's most exciting church.
And we're back. amazing conversation that I'm having with Brother Eugene. I'm just sitting here in awe because when we talk about the influence of African-American males in their community, oftentimes we think of Barack Obama, or we think of those stellar people who have done some phenomenal things and made national stage. But right here in Wilmington, we get the opportunity to see what excellence look like in our community. But our community is not, he's not limited to just our community. He has been a role model for all communities. You did a good job with sharing a lot about your personal life. Mm-hmm. Let's try to turn a little bit towards the professional life. You've done some amazing things with the Urban League, as well as with the with some of your some of the nonprofits. And the thing, and I want this to be the last thing you talk about, but the thing you've done that I look at and say, "Oh, wow, a young brother." I think you were you in your 20s or 30s when you first? I don't know how old you are now. I don't want you to tell it.
It's okay. I just turned 41 last month.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay. So you was in your 30s when the governor of the state of Delaware looked at all the candidates that could have filled that position, and he called your name. I think that's honorable. So, but let's back up and go to some of the nonprofits and things that you've done and some of the work you've done in it. And then let's talk about this housing piece.
Absolutely. So as I was saying a little earlier, so once I graduated from college, myself, best friend Logan Herring, and his brother Shannon Watson, we came together and we co-founded a nonprofit organization for children. We did this giving leadership skills, mentoring. We took guys on college tours all around the country. So we were going to college tours and playing games out in Memphis, jumping in a 15-passenger van, taking a bunch of kids out Memphis, Cocoa Beach, Florida, Virginia. Like, we were going all these different places. Never got paid a dime, just because we wanted to help our community. And we did that. But a major part of that is it informed me through programming. It informed me about how there's like other policy issues that we got to be talking about. And so that led me into working as a legislative aide for Representative Stephanie T. Bolden. Stephanie T. Bolden, don't forget the T, and Representative Helene Keeley. So I worked with them. I then I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to work for then Mayor, now Senator Cory Booker for 2 years. Changed my life working with someone like him. I was with him every day of my life for about 2 years. Didn't work well with wasn't too good for my relationship with my wife her fiance at the time. But I worked so closely with him, and he absolutely has changed my life. I'm thankful for him to show me like what a real leader does. It's not just about what someone does when the cameras are facing them, but when the cameras are turned in a different direction, what is the character? What are you doing? And he's that same man, no matter whether the cameras are in front of him or whether they're not. Learned a great deal from him. Worked in criminal justice reform space at Delaware Center for Justice, where we focused on issues around juvenile expungements. One of the big issues that we have was that, someone makes a stupid decision when they're 13, 14, as all of us have, and they are held to that when they're 23, 33, 43, 53. And so it doesn't allow people to move forward. And so we helped put some legislation together around helping for juveniles to be able to get expungements and adults to get pardons, helping people to re-enter back into society. All these different things are so important to help communities move forward. And that led into my work with the Urban League, where we groomed young people, helping to make sure people, like, kind of solidifying people so they understood Delaware is a small state. We have 1 million people, but it was very interesting. I say this all the time. There's probably 20 people that it could impact the lives of 40% of the population at the drop of a dime. And so how do you know who these people are? How do you get connected with these people? How do you learn how to advocate for your community? All these things are very critical and important. And so we try to put a lot of this forward, and we've had this program called the James H. Gilliam Senior Fellowship Program. So if someone wants to apply, they can apply to the program. It's a great program. The Gilliam Fellows is what we call them. And other things around policy that impacts the state. I am very fortunate. The governor, he did come in a random day. They asked if I would be interested in joining his cabinet. And I gotta be honest, I'm incredibly thankful. There's a lot that, this is such an important job. And for the governor to have that much trust in me means the world to me.
Yes.
He didn't have to.
That's right.
The real stuff. He
Right.
could have selected someone else about 2.5 years ago. But he gave me an opportunity of a lifetime. And I am forever thankful for it. And being able to work with him and learn how to better serve is so critical and important for me. So I'm people, as going back to what my father said, don't nobody owe you nothing.
That's right.
And so to work with Stephanie T. Bolden, Helene Keeley is amazing. Work with Senator Cory Booker, absolutely wonderful. I have the opportunity to lead our state as our state's housing director. It is a life changer for me. Like this is the best job I've ever had in my life.
All right.
And
the impact is much greater.
Indeed.
Yeah.
You get to work with families around housing. Housing is the critical issue impacting our state right now.
Mm-hmm.
Our state is behind around 21,000 units as a state, and we have so many people moving into our state. There's a Forbes magazine article in September that shows that we are the top 10 importing states in the country, and it's interesting. We are around some of our neighboring states are part of the top 10 exporting states. So people are leaving like Pennsylvania, people are leaving New York, people are leaving New Jersey, people are leaving Massachusetts, and are coming to states like Delaware. And so how do we make sure we have enough units for all so that everyone's able to take advantage of this amazing state that we have here and be able to live quality lives with their families?
Excellent. I want to give a little credit to the governor because I know even Cade, who's a very close friend of mine,
Absolutely.
He really looked at some very strong, positive African-American brothers and have filled some major positions.
Absolutely.
And I don't take that for granted. I don't take that lightly.
Absolutely.
And you have not only did you accept the position, but you have lived honorably in it. And I think that matters, and while we're talking and the audience is listening to us, or those who are watching, they need to understand that there's an integrity. You talked about Cory Booker sharing that whether the cameras are turned towards you or turned away from you, that it's your character that matters.
Absolutely.
Building that. So I can come to the conclusion that you won't be a novice going to Congress because one, you have a person who is a role model, which is Cory Booker, who's a role model who already understands the dynamics of Congress, but also you name two powerful local leaders who poured into you to give you that understanding. And that's, my good friend Bolden and Hilly as well.
Yeah.
So this interview has really helped me, and I know some of our viewers, to understand we're not talking about a person who just wanted to be in the lights. We're talking about a person who have really worked hard in I keep calling it your short life because 41 is not old. It's nowhere near old.
Bless you.
Although people are grandparents in 41 these days.
That is true.
But it's nowhere near old. And what you've accomplished in the 20-year span, that's how I look at it after college, it's just remarkable.
Yeah. But it's one of those kind of things where I recognize that there are so many people that have done. Like I'm not here without Mike Dorsey, who is my neighbor, who works for license inspection in the city of Wilmington, who was like a second father to me. Like I believe like my father's the greatest man to walk planet Earth. Like I love and miss my father to death. But I think that there are some amazing individuals that have come and been a part of my life to help me get to where I am today. And whether that is Mike Dorsey or my teacher, Mr. Novak, or Coach Lee Sibley, or there's just so many people, Coach Bill Harmon, the Reed family out here in Southbridge, Josie Reed, who was like a second mother to me, and her son, Mike Reed, who was so instrumental in my life as a young man. There's so many people that have like really poured into me. So I don't have an option.
Right.
Like I don't have an option. I have to be of service. I have to connect with people. I have to give back something because I cannot take and then just go out and have my house with white picket fence and just raise my kids and say, you know what, everyone else did their thing. They helped me. I'm just going to take my ball and run.
Absolutely.
No, it's bigger than that.
Yes.
And then what also are we as parents showing our kids if that's our mentality? So my thing is, as those who get, you give.
Yes.
And I want to I want to let my time on this earth be focused around giving and being a resource to others.
Yes. Which is awesome and amazing. You know, while you were talking, I was thinking about, you know, the ability to be poured into is one thing, but to give back. Yeah. In church, we have the definition of ministry is about what God pours into you for you to pour into people. Yeah. If I bring it into the secular world, that's exactly what you're doing. And you've been poured into. Absolutely. Now you want to pour it back into somebody else. You know, you talked about they say if you have, 2.5 children, that means the dog as well. So, do you have a dog?
No dog. We have a fish named Roxy though.
Oh, you have a fish. Okay. But if you get your dog, then you could have the perfect family and everything would be fine. But I do want to make sure that the community who's listening to us today clearly understand that you have done what you needed to do, and we appreciate that. And we're gonna take a quick commercial break. But when we come back, I want to talk about how can we be a blessing to you now. How can the campaign receive donations and what help you need? Sure. Because I think that you're on the right trajectory, and it's gonna be several months, about 10 months of out there pushing. Correct. And we want to make sure that you don't run out of steam.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back.
Delaware State University is not only an anchor HBCU in the state and across the nation, but is redefining the HBCU mission for today's world.
We are committed to long-term, consistent, and responsible growth.
Yeah. You have the app. Yes, I
do. I am pleased to be able to award the HBCU Sports Production Grant to Delaware State University.
And like so many of our brother and sister HBCU institutions across the country, offering one of the highest returns on investment in higher education.
Building the whole student, enhancing operational effectiveness, and improving the physical plant.
We're just hoping that her legacy will be a catalyst for change.
We are unafraid to be the people we are called to be.
Delaware State University rises in rankings.
Securing a healthy future. Our clarion call remains the same.
Becoming the most substantively diverse, contemporary, and unapologetic HBCU in the country.
I am so proud. So proud.
We are Delaware State University.
The Delaware Mortgage Relief Program can help homeowners in need. Created by the Delaware State Housing Authority, this grant program provides each eligible household with up to $50,000 in mortgage relief assistance. This money can be used for future or delinquent mortgage payments, property taxes, homeowners association fees, or insurance fees. Funding is limited. Apply today. Visit online or call 888-303-4324 for more information about the Delaware Mortgage Relief Program.
The drive to move forward. For some people, it's a part of who they are. And it's who we are too. For 130 years, Strayer University has been at the forefront of change, with programs that help students get and stay ahead, so you can keep striving.
And we're back. Amazing, amazing, and amazing is all I can say. We had an opportunity this morning to really spend some time talking with Brother Eugene Young, who really is a native of Wilmington, family has strong roots in this community. He came on the scene as I saw it when running for mayor and just floored everybody and almost got that seat. But he didn't start his work then. He had already started with the nonprofits and doing things and pouring back into this community. Now being appointed by the governor, also being the in charge of the Urban League, he's done some amazing things. And I'm just grateful that he took time to be with us today just to have this first conversation. I do hope, though, Brother Eugene, you will come back and be with us a little bit once you get in the real swing of things, because we want to make sure we keep you rolling as you're moving.
I will, anytime for this nice setup and this great conversation, anytime, just let me know, I'm here.
Well, we'll try to bring you some coffee next time. But let me, real quick, there are some things that there may be somebody out there listening and saying, he's a great guy. He's sturdy. He's our guy. Mm-hmm. But I don't want just my guy in Congress. Mm-hmm. I need a person who may have some ideas of things that they may want to do with that position. Could you help us a little bit?
Sure. So my policy, because running for Congress is very much about policy and legislation. Mm-hmm. What are your priorities? What matters the most to you? And for me, my policy comes from my community. Mm-hmm. And so I want to talk about and put policy forward around housing. Mm-hmm. I think housing is going to be the most critical issue. We need our federal government to step up off the sidelines and get into housing, providing more funds available to states to build more units. Mm-hmm. Because what's happening right now is our states do not have the mass of money and resources to fill the need. There's no way it could happen. Now I'm seeing it because I'm in it. There's no way our states alone can provide the funding for the housing needs of each state. Our nation, as I said earlier, our state's behind around 21,000 units. Mm-hmm. Our nation is behind around 4 to 6 million units.
Wow.
4 to 6 million units. Mm-hmm. And so what's happening is we do not, because we don't have many of these units in all the other places. So if you're struggling in New York or Long Island and trying to find space and you can't find one, you end up going to a place where your dollar can stretch a little longer. So what happens? You move to Delaware. That's right. And so that's why we get such this influx, because we're not talking, it's not just our state, it's our nation. Right. So we need to make sure there's more units in New York, just as much as there are more units in Delaware. Mm-hmm. So it's just not a flea of people from New Jersey and New York just saying, you know what, and there's no shade for that, because my wife's a New Yorker, my in-laws moved down here from New York. Yeah. I love New Yorkers or whatever, if you're from Jersey, Pennsylvania. But we need to make sure everyone's whole. Mm-hmm. We cannot be the most wealthiest country to ever be, our globe's ever seen, and not be able to provide housing for the people in our affordable housing, just quality housing. Mm-hmm. Second is we need to focus on healthcare. Mm-hmm. Healthcare is such a critical issue within our community and our nation as a whole. We are, per capita, we spend more money than any other nation when it comes to housing. For healthcare. But yet people are going broke every year because they cannot keep up with healthcare related costs. 60% of all the people that file for bankruptcy do it because of healthcare related costs. 60%. Wow. So it's one of those things where we have to find more ways to get quality healthcare, and then we have to become better at the preventative care measures. Because we're not providing such preventative care, you have people who are going into situations where if they had preventive care, they wouldn't be in such bad stages of life. I'll give an example. In our state, heart disease is the number one killer. Right. Oftentimes people get confused. I said this recently at a conference. Oftentimes people will say, women, they'll say, cancer, in particular breast cancer for women is the number one, as a large cause of death. But I would tell people, a woman, the stats show a woman will die from breast cancer is like 1 in 30. A woman dying of heart disease is 1 in 3.
Oh, wow.
So these are major issues. Yeah. In Delaware, heart disease is the biggest killer for citizens of our state. Mm-hmm. So what can we do? There's more things that can be done at the earlier onset when it comes to issues around heart disease, around preventative care, that we can be focusing in on so we don't lose lives as much as we do when it comes to heart disease. And third, I think a major issue for our state is we have to very much focus on economic development. We need to make sure people are properly trained to get quality of jobs in our state. We have, with such an influx of higher costs when it comes to healthcare, housing, and just academics or education for that matter, the wages are not keeping up. And so what's happening is people are falling behind. And so people aren't able to provide that quality food on the table. Instead, they have to work 2 to 3 different jobs. And then the next question that occurs is someone will say, well, who's this kid and where's their parent? What's their parent doing? In many cases, their parents working 2 or 3 jobs trying to make ends meet.
Excellent, yes.
So you can't have it both ways. The average daycare worker in our state makes $11 per hour. We have to find a way to make sure people are properly trained so that they're able to make higher wages. And then also having a better trained workforce allows for better, more employers to come because you have a better trained workforce.
Amazing job that you're doing, but how you connected the fact that there's a great influx from other places.
Absolutely.
Because it's some of the time it's cheaper to live in.
Absolutely.
Matter of fact, Middletown is full of New Yorkers.
Yes, yes it is.
And we know for shady because I got a lot of family in New York as well.
Exactly.
But when you were ready to retire and you cannot afford the high price of what it costs to live in New York, that's the best thing for people to do. Then you move to healthcare, which is very critical. You gave me a new. I always said cancer is the number one, but your data is just unbelievable. It just threw me all the way off in that's something we need to really pay attention to.
Absolutely.
And then you talk about economic development. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I would love to see you there at the table when those discussions or when those policies are being discussed. Before I forget it, I want to make sure we have some time for you to tell all of those who watch us, how can we help Brother Eugene? And for those of you who send him something, put brother on the front of it because we've made he's a part of our brotherhood in general. But how do we help you financially? How do we help you physically? And even mentally if need be?
I would say 3 things. 1, please go to our website if interested in donating or volunteering. Please go to our website, eugeneyoung.com. That's EUGENEYOUNG, eugeneyoung.com.
Okay.
Even if it's $5 a month, even if it's $7 a month, if it's $50 a month or $100 a month,
or $5,000.
If you want to cash max out at $3,300, that's fine too. We'll take it, right?
Yes.
But it is, the way things are set up right now, everything comes to your ability, because campaigns come down to 2 things. 1 is raising money, 2 is people. And all money does is help you connect to more people. And so that is our goal. So if you want to donate, please come join us online. And also if you want to volunteer, please online. We're going to be knocking on doors. We're going to be having house parties. If you want to even have just a meet and greet at your home, you got 10, 15, 20, 30 people that that you want to kind of bring together and you want to talk about some of the issues, I would be honored to come.
Oh, wow.
These are every opportunity we get to talk about this. This campaign is critical and important. Also, I would say outside of those areas, kind of sharing this video with people.
Oh, okay. I like that. You're the first candidate to do that.
Sharing this video because I think it's also important for us to promote media that's talking to community members, right? Oftentimes, there's so many cases and indicators or so many cases and shows where it doesn't show us in a good light. Coffee with Curry, Ivan Thomas DTV. There's a lot of different people that are doing great things to put us in a good light in the community. And I think we need to continue to share this information with others so people can see this, so they can see the side of it. And third, I would say, you know, being in the house of the Lord, pray for me. That's the middle piece. This is not an easy process. This weighs on everyone involved, myself, my wife, my kids. It's a sacrifice for us all, and my family, my friends, all that, and the people who volunteer spend a lot of time. It's an enormous sacrifice, and so your prayers mean a great deal to me, because you have to wake up each day and be ready to take on the fight, and so all of that means a great deal to me.
Yeah. So is Eugene Young up for the fight?
I am. I say this all the time. The last 20 years, I would have never expected, you know, year one of the 20 years, I wouldn't expect it to be where I was in year two. The next year, so on and so forth. I am all in for this fight. I don't think there's any greater honor than serving the people of our state. I have no idea, as I said before, I have no idea what next year is going to look like or the year after that's going to look like. But what I do have control of is like today. And each day I wake up with a sense of thankfulness and gratitude that I'm able to be of service to the community that's given me so much. And so I come each day swinging. You know, I give each day my best, and I take the fight on. Sometimes the obstacle looks like insurmountable, but insurmountable can't stop you. You know, if my family said, you know what, it's insurmountable for us to be moving to Delaware in 1919 with everything going on, I wouldn't be here right now. And so I have an obligation to take that step forward and have that belief and that hope that things will work themselves out. And I'm going to do what it's going to take to get me forward.
What position did you play on the basketball team?
I was a power forward. Well, in high school, I was a center. In college, I was more power forward center.
Good. Yeah. And you'll understand why I'm asking that question. Tell me about both positions. What is the purpose of a power forward? No, I want you to center first.
Yeah, center is you are there to play defense, to block shots. You are there looking at the game, and you're kind of like helping you're like the anchor on defense. You're the rough and tumble guy in many cases. Yeah. Like you have to get dirty. You got to play hard. You don't shoot the ball often, and it's not the prettiest of positions, but it's the grittiness of the game.
Now, on the offensive side, what is the purpose of the center?
Set picks, get people open, rebound, get a couple dunks here and there. Okay. You got to finish it when it's given to you.
Okay,
and you're still the same thing. You're battling every day. I tell people all the time, I'm missing a tooth, separated shoulder, fractured ankles, because when you play, these are the things that happen. And so you just do as best you can to fight for your team.
What about the power forward?
Power forward, same as you get maybe a little bit more shots. You get a couple more shots, but
you drive more.
You take it to the basket. Yeah. It's very much you're defending a little bit more because you're defending some of the quicker guys, but also some of the bigger guys. So it's defensively you have more of a reach in a sense, but. Same thing, but you're taking it to the basket. Both of them, you're getting closer to the basket. You're getting closer to getting the bucket.
I asked that question because it's important for everyone who's watching us today to understand that you've been ready for the fight.
Yeah.
You were developed for the fight. You were prepared for the fight. And the fight is whatever is set before you. That's what the fight is. The fight is not about, going on the yard and fighting physically, but it's about whatever's put before you.
Absolutely.
And whether you were on the basketball court, whether you were in the classroom, because you were a good scholar too. We didn't get a chance to do a lot of talking on that too. but you are and were a good scholar as well for West Point to even consider you. It wasn't because your daddy was in the service. You had to earn your own rights to even be considered for that. But when we talk about being physically fit, mentally alert, spiritually alive, this is me talking. I'm big on that. I'm big on making sure a person is well balanced, that a person is holistic, and you have certainly exemplified that person. Now, you say, well, Pastor Curry, thank you so much for giving me all these accolades, but the truth of the matter is, it's truth. The truth is you have been prepared for this day. And I hope for those of you who are watching us today that you will really take some time to go to the website. Can I have it again?
EugeneYoung.com. EugeneYoung.com. EugeneYoung.com.
And I hope you'll go to the website, and look, $5. What people fail to realize is that when we have a crisis, we want our legislators, we want our politicians to be there to support us. And oftentimes they've failed us. Today, we bring before you a person who I believe is really genuine and he's a part of this community. Every dollar matters. And I don't want to bring up other politicians because that's not what I do for this show. But what I want to make sure you do is you go ahead to the website, donate, because that also speaks to his strength. When he walks into the Congress and they see how many people who donate to this brother, he's looked at differently than, his mom and dad got some dollars together and got him in Congress. It's important. And if you don't have anything, then volunteer your time. Make sure his signs are in your yard. Make sure that you are out there telling people. He even shared it. Share this video. Let people see Eugene. Because honestly, I think as he sat here and talked with me today, I'm going to say I'm the first to really get this is the interview that I'm hoping that will really land in very powerful places. Know that he is genuine, and that's what's important. So, Brother Eugene, I thank you. Before we close out today, I want you to have freedom to share whatever you want to share with our audience from you.
I will. I want to do a couple quick things. One is I would like to thank you, Reverend Curry, for having me here. You didn't have to do that. And thank you for having me here. Thank you for everyone to help put this together, the team that you have. Very much appreciative of. I would also like to just say thank you all for watching. You could be anywhere doing anything, but you're here watching us and as we have this conversation. Third, I would like to say, please visit our website, EugeneYoung.com, EugeneYoung.com. Say it one more time for those in the back, EugeneYoung.com. Please, if you care to volunteer, if you care to donate, we would greatly appreciate it. And last or fourth, I would say, when it comes to this reason why I'm running for office, it's about service and it's about continuing to serve this community. I have been thankful. It's been the honor of my life to serve our state for the last 20 years. And I'll put my 20 years of service up against anyone. I believe this is the core of who I am. And I would ask that you take a look at what I've done. Have questions for me now, and let's talk about what I plan to do in the future. In order to get there, I'm going to need your help. I'm going to need your support, and also I'm going to need your vote. So please visit the website. I love to get your support along this race, and I look forward to connecting with you on the trail. Thank you so much.
Great. Brother Eugene, on behalf of the Zion Fair and the community who watches us, we want to say thank you, and we appreciate you taking the time to be with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
It's been an absolute honor.
All right. So there you go. We'll be right back.
Tune in at 8 a.m. every Sunday for our worship services. Join us at 9 a.m. on YouTube and Facebook Live by typing Zion Fair. Baptist Church. We are Wilmington's most exciting church.
News all across the nation. Wilmington's latest headlines. Advocating for change in the community with Dr. C.T. Curry, Kobe Owens, and Shanae Darby. Tune in to The Source every Sunday at 5 p.m.
And we're back. For those of you who had an opportunity, you've all to watch me for the last couple of years. You know, I had many guests on our show. We've had people who I really admired. There are people who I really wasn't too much in favor of. But today I'm very grateful because to see a brother who's really done some great things in his life and have poured back into the community that upon which he came from is very powerful. We talk about in our seminars about what the impact people can have on their community. Today, we get an opportunity to see it in living color. I hope that you will go to the website, eugeneyoung.com, and you'll see it on our screen throughout this telecast. But I really want to make sure that we do all we can to support him because we need him. As his father said to him, the people don't owe you anything, but he didn't say it. That's the correct way, but they don't owe you nothing, is what his father said. And that's so true. But you can feel in his humility that he believes that and he wants to earn your vote. So I hope that you heard the show, you watched the show today, and you took the time and said, you know what, I'm going to go to the website. I don't have much, but the little I have, I just want to show him that I'm a partner for what is right. We could talk about all the killings and the things that happen that are negative, but here we have one who was born among us, who was raised among us, and have done well, and he wants to represent to help bring change to the community upon which we live. I hope you will take this time while we're being grateful and thankful to God for this Thanksgiving season. I hope you will take the time to just go to his website, volunteer, put a couple of dollars in there, and I'm sure it will go a very long way. Until the next time we get together, may the Lord God bless you real good.
Thank you for watching this episode of Coffee with Curry. Tune in next week, Sunday at 11 a.m.